All right. So welcome to the first of a few of these, I don't know what to call these, as a content series. So we've got these presentations we've been doing with our founders, with the SMART series for the Chamber, and thought this would be a good time to post them online. And this one particularly, starting with Keep Your Business Moving Forward, was built around three topics: opportunity recognition, tenacity, and the ability to focus yet adapt. And those seem really timely right now, as most of us are for kind of the end of the first week of this quarantine. Lots of businesses are shaking things up, trying to adapt on the fly. And these are skills that I hope there's some useful pieces in here that you'll be able to use to keep your business moving forward. And we have a couple folks with us, a couple founders, and Tommy from the Chamber are on the Zoom call with us. Anytime you guys have questions or want to jump in or laugh or heckle or anything, that the kind of interaction is encouraged. Sound good?
Yes.
Love it.
Yep.
All right, that's the kind of interaction I'm looking for. Here we go. So I wanted to call this presentation what to do when the shit hits the fan. But we weren't supposed to do that, so keep your business moving forward. And my mentor in grad school would say, what happens when you start a business? Shit happens, right? The idea that there's things that we cannot predict in the market. There's turbulence, there's competition, environmental factors. No matter what happens after you make your plan to start your business, things are going to go wrong. So we try to encourage and teach our entrepreneurs to be ready for the unexpected, which we call the ability to focus and adapt, to find opportunities, opportunity recognition, and to develop through the challenges, right? That's tenacity. Those are the three things we're going to talk about today. I'll briefly mention what are entrepreneurial competencies, then we'll get into each topic, how to develop each skill, and even ways to challenge yourself to build them up now. Even things like right now, as we're in the middle of this such absolute chaos, how can you be looking for new opportunities at this time? So quick background, Venture Asheville. We build entrepreneurs and get companies funded. We're part of the Economic Development Coalition for Asheville, Buncombe County, and part of the Asheville Area Chamber of Commerce. We work with high growth potential startups to help them succeed. When I was in grad school, I wrote a chapter in this book with Mike Morris about entrepreneurial competencies. It's the idea that to teach someone to be an entrepreneur, you need a different skill set than being a manager or being a small business owner. Entrepreneurial competencies, like any competency, are things you learn by doing and take practice, such as how to rewire a house, a surgical procedure, public speaking, a dance routine. It's important to put it in those terms as a process that can be refined through practice, that anyone can be an entrepreneur when you think about it that way. It's just a matter of what are those skills and how do I get better at them? So many programs are going to emphasize general business competencies. Now, you can't run a business without these skills. Like, that's absolutely, hey, Carrie Ann, you can't run a business without those skills. But you can't be a startup founder without these skills, right? Opportunity recognition, opportunity assessment, risk mitigation, the ability to convey compelling vision. Dan, you and I talk a lot about, like, that's I think one of your greatest skills. Tenacity and perseverance, creative problem solving, how to build networks. I'm not gonna read them all, but today in this brief presentation, we're gonna talk about three. Again, that's opportunity recognition, tenacity, perseverance, the ability to maintain focus yet adapt. And everyone in Elevate takes this survey. They can, each of those 13 competencies are rated on a 5-point scale. You answer a bunch of questions. We're gonna put those questions up in the front of each topic so you can see how do you build up those competencies. All right. So this is great Mike Tyson quote, everyone has a plan to get punched in the face. So right now, as a world, we are getting punched in the face. It's time to take it like a champ and use these three skills to move forward. So the first one, opportunity recognition, we define that as a capacity to perceive changed conditions or overlook possibilities in the environment that represent potential sources of profit or return to a venture. All right, pretty straightforward. Here's how we ask those questions to rate and evaluate somebody. Are you an avid information seeker? Are you looking for new information? Do you make novel connections? Do you see links between unrelated pieces of information? Are you good at connecting dots? And can you see the previously connections between things that shouldn't be connected, right? So those are the questions. How do you work on that skill set? One thing you can do is build a map of all the things that exist in the external environment around you, things that you necessarily don't have control over, that are shifting around you. And we say that turbulence in the external environment is the greatest source of opportunity. And right now we're experiencing tons and tons of turbulence, whether it's how our supplies manufactured, how our supplies shipped. And a good way to think about this is societal preferences and norms. When we go back to the 2008 crash, which was a housing crash, societal preferences and norms really shaped the big industries that are prominent now. So let's break that down, right? The crash was more or less caused by big banks, businesses, the disdain for golden parachutes. It bred tons of public distrust, and there's an undercurrent to all this of a counterculture of hipsters. It's kind of in society, and you can piecemeal other pieces to it. What that led to was a desire for more homemade, authentic, and intentional products and services. And I think it's really easy to argue, right, that the crash of 2008 is what created the craft maker movement. That maybe bits and pieces of it were already there, but these crises tend to force a society to coalesce around norms and values. And that's what came out of 2008. And the sharing economy came out of 2008, right? So now I was looking at the Corona crisis, what currently exists, what is the undercurrent of change, and what's going to happen next? What will be tomorrow's major industries, the major trends or values of our society that push industry forward? So we're coming out of craft makers. We have a highly personal society, right? Everything is about individual narratives. And it's butting up against where there's friction, right? That is counter to public health. Suddenly we're realizing elder care is insufficient, or it's not ways to care for elders when we can't be close to them. And I think there's even weird things like elbow bumps, right? Are we going to start greeting each other differently in the future? So when we consider where society's values are, what the new values and norms are coalescing around, if the craft maker movement came out of 2008, what's going to come out of 2020? So I don't have an answer for that. If anyone here wants to throw something in, that's great. But this is the challenge of entrepreneurs, to find that turbulence in the environment, understand what was valued, what is coalescing, and how is that going to be the next big trend. I'll pick on Dan, and I think that direct to consumer communication is becoming really, really important, right? The way messaging communications happens from companies big and small to every single person in their customer list is becoming more important. And I imagine, and I'm sure you can check this out, I wonder if podcasting is becoming even more popular than it was before. It's becoming more democratized, that more people are getting into podcasting now.
Definitely some early insights showing that it's becoming embraced by more usage as a personal medium and less, much of what's been successful in podcasting has been big brand celebrities. Mm-hmm. And we're starting to see the offshoots or the green roots of, as you said, kind of audio as personal communication, for sure.
Yeah, that's interesting. And you all know that I have a dating site, and it's not a good time to get into dating, right? Nobody's meeting in person. The fact that our site is built around redeemable dates so people can go out in public and have a date prepaid for them, and our APIs and MVP is all about Starbucks dates, Starbucks gift cards. You can't go to Starbucks to meet somebody anymore. So it's causing us to rethink, right? How are we dating now? How are we going to date in the future? Or is this going to build an intense amount of pent-up demand that we can capitalize on when this crisis inevitably blows over? So it's affecting lots of industries in different ways. Let me get to my next slide. Another source of opportunity is called the KANO model of innovation. This Mercedes is not the KANO model. I'll use two car analogies to explain the model and show the model. The first is, remember it was 2002 when I turned 16 years old, and I went out to test drive a brand new Mustang. That was really cool. That's my first car. I wanted to be a Mustang. So I'm test driving the car. My dad's sitting next to me. He made the sales guy get like in the back, the fold forward seat. It's cramped back there. My dad says, wait, are there no side airbags in this thing? And the guy said, no, it's a premium feature. It doesn't come standard in the new Mustangs. And my dad just flipped out. He goes, how can you possibly sell a brand new car in America today without side airbags? Because at the time, side airbags weren't standard. It was a premium safety feature. And we see this with Volvo, for example, all the time. They are groundbreaking and brand new safety features that eventually become democratized into every car. So side airbags is one of those examples that now you can't find a new car without side airbags because it's standard. Backup cams were the same way. It wasn't until 2018 that backup cameras became standard on every new issued model of every car company. So here's how the model works. Over time, delightful innovation becomes a basic need. So what starts as a delightful or a premium feature over time through during competitive pressure or pricing or substitution or competition is going to become a basic need that everyone is able to get. So I call it kind of democratizing premiums. That's my word for it. So you think what is or what has been a premium elite product or service, and how does that get to the masses? How is it democratized? And that's kind of been the key to so many SaaS companies or online web companies is using scale as everyone should have access to this opportunity. You think about ventilators, right? And that's what we're talking about right now constantly is how there's not enough ventilators. It's a delight or not delight, probably it's a tone deaf word, but a premium or an exclusive product. How do we make that more democratized? So we're seeing 3D printing companies or the actual makers, for example, creating whatever they can to make a ventilator become a basic democratized need. And I'm sure in your businesses, you know, everyone's somewhere in that high end to penetration or pricing type of product. So look at what's happening in the industry up the chain that you can democratize. Other sources are just societal norms, trends, age, and demographics, living, public health. HB2 is a big one, technology changing. I think now we're going to see a lot more appetite or a lot more social approval for drone delivery. What was once like, that's a nice to have, it's not necessary, I'm not sure it's crucial, or what we're seeing, how necessary truck drivers are in our society all of a sudden, or they always have been, but now it's coming really in the forefront. Does autonomous driving make that better or safer for truck drivers? Does drone delivery make the bottleneck our delivery drivers, putting the health and safety of UPS and FedEx drivers at risk? Should they be replaced with drones? I think our society is about to change on our attitude for that. We talked about HB2. So the bathroom bill, right? This was a terrible law to pass in North Carolina, but savvy entrepreneurs saw this opportunity to create value out of it. That's the form of entrepreneurship, right? So one of the things that came out of this was a whole industry and new bathroom signs. That's pulling a opportunity out of a crisis or a new societal norm. Unexpected occurrences like black swan events, things that no one could have predicted that irrevocably change society. And then process needs. So how can you decrease expenses as opposed to not increasing revenue as a way to save the bottom line? I think a lot of our companies right now are feeling most of the economy freeze. So what can we do? How do we get leaner on our teams to decrease expenses? So a couple ways to work on your opportunity recognition. This is an old slide. I used to tell people, go wait in line somewhere. Just go wait in any line and you'll come up with 3 ways to make the line move faster. That's the way to start messing with opportunity recognition. Now you probably shouldn't wait in line. You shouldn't be around other people. Audit the external environment, see what turbulence is around you and how you can affect it. Use a KANO model to discover what you can democratize around you. All right, second one. Any questions about this before we move on to our second one?
Nope.
We move much faster through these. All right. The ability to focus yet adapt is, now that you've recognized an opportunity, what are you going to do about it? So the questions we ask are, how focused are you? Can you maintain focus on projects that take more than a year to complete? Are you obsessed with ideas for a short time, but you find you're kind of flaky? So what you need to do to really focus is what the same mate to stick is, create a commander's intent. They say no plan survives contact with the enemy. At the beginning of these military plans, there's one sentence on top. It says, if we do nothing else during the mission, we must blank. So write that for your business right now. Or Tommy, write that for our members, right? If we do nothing else for our members during this crisis, we must blank. Let that be your overarching goal. One goal, not many goals. And below that, you write, the single most important thing we must do tomorrow or today or this afternoon is blank. Is that contact your suppliers? Is it for us and Elevate, right? It's the single most important thing we must do tomorrow is to call every one of our Elevate founders one-on-one and see how they're doing so we can do to help. Just identify one singular focus that aligns with the greater mission. Again, it's about one goal. That's a Megan Rapinoe image. Yeah, this joke lands better in a live audience. So set just again a goal. If nothing else, we must blank.
We're laughing with you, Jeff.
Thank
Just
you.
on mute.
Stop.
While we're on mute.
Yeah, another challenge of virtual events. So adapt. Be ready to innovate or die. Accept change will happen. Understand that things are happening that are bigger than us, and you have the attitude and mindset to roll with it, you'll be able to get through it. Focus and adapt. Keep that mindset at the forefront. Don't get too dissuaded. So Jeff Bezos uses the 10-year rule. Not focus on what will definitely change in 10 years, but what won't change in 10 years. So for example, what have you always done but can't do now that people desire to keep doing? So virtual events, I'm seeing a newsletter for virtual events every day. I'm curious how it's going to affect our wedding industry. You know, it's easy to take a webinar, a conference, a lecture, and put it into a webinar. So hard to do that with a wedding. So interesting to see how that's going to change. Think about that in your industries, in your market, in your business. What have you always done but can't do now, but there's still a desire to do? Fill in the blanks. All right. Batman Begins. Thomas Wayne says to Bruce, why do we fall, Bruce? So we can learn to pick ourselves back up again. Tenacity is so key to entrepreneurship, especially in that fail forward, fail fast mindset. It's not so much about failure, but what you do after it and what you do during it, the way you compose yourself. Now is the time that our stories are being made, that the legends are being made, that how we treat people who work for us, people we work with, our neighbors, each other. What we do now determines the future of your story. And so tenacity it's a tough one to teach. You're never kind of done being tenacious, right? It's always kind of this ever-present goal you can never truly achieve, but it's that act of composure and resilience in it that makes entrepreneurs. So here's the questions we ask to determine how tenacious an individual is. Here's some ways to work on it. So I was thinking about my son, my 8-month-old son this morning. I was trying to get him to crawl really hard. He's almost doing it. So I lay him on his mat and I put toys out just out of his reach. Now, if he rolls or he stretches, he might touch it, but he won't be able to grab it. So I'm really trying to get this kid to struggle, to strive for greatness, to do better through challenge. That's what this time is all about. This is our time to learn how to be better through challenges. That's what being tenacious really is. Don't dive head first into trying to be the most tenacious person out there. Burn out. So I try to have people scale it up. So floss every day. Seriously, if you can just commit to flossing every day, if you're like me, you're not a regular flosser, you'll work at it's one step towards being tenacious. Networking's canceled. So what can you do to if you don't like doing networking, and now it's even harder to do it because you got to get out there, just touch base with 3 existing contacts a day and make 1 new one daily. Go on LinkedIn, search somebody in the industry, reach out. Or make 100 cold calls a day. It may seem like a really bad time for sales or just anything, right? People just want to freeze and hunker down. But going through this process of if you can be reaching out now, letting know people you're there, letting your retailers, your wholesalers, your suppliers, your distributors, just reaching out to all of them constantly, it's They're going to be hard conversations. They're going to be tough conversations. They're going to be better for it. Founders who perform well at this time will be remembered for it. I really honestly believe that. They were treating people, taking care of each other. Yeah. This is when I keep coming back to this idea, like your legend is made, right? This is when your narrative is being solidified. So to wrap it up, we're doing on time, right? Just in time. So ways to work on opportunity recognition, the ability to focus and adapt, and tenacity is audit your external environment, spot trends, get leaner through process improvement, use a KANO model, write your commander's intent, think about what won't change, but how things are changing and the desire is still there. And lastly, tenacity, practice, challenge yourself and scale it up and set your goal. That's all I got, guys. Any questions, comments, feedback?
That's great stuff, Jeff. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Dan, was that the
end
of solidarity? All right, thanks, guys. I'll forward these out to everyone at Elevate, and we're going to post this on Facebook later. And if you want to share it with folks and say, you know, there's a quote in here, or even if it's a couple slides you feel like are important for folks to share, please go ahead and share those.
Yeah, there are a couple of really great takeaways. Thank you.
Yeah, thank